You're eating less, you're tracking calories, you're even cutting out sugar, alcohol, pizza, the foods you love, and yet the fat around the waist still won't budge. And the worst part, you can't figure out why, because for every single measure you know, you feel you're doing everything right. Busy man, what if I told you that eating less is actually the reason your body stopped responding? Today, I'm going to show you the 3 exact reasons to why your body has stopped responding and the fix to every single one. These 3 reasons have already helped Ryan, Craig, Reto, and Antonio achieve lean, athletic, muscular bodies without eating less food. And even if you don't have time to cook, well, in reason number 2, I'm going to share with you my 3 fat burning recipes that don't require a kitchen. If you're already feeling more tired, frustrated, and you've been stuck for months, do not skip this video because eating less will actually make things worse. These 3 reasons are all tied to a deeper root problem that most busy men never address. Let's dive into reason number 1. Point number 1. Eating less is actually signaling danger to your body. Do you know how many men I've encountered who've tried to follow these extreme low-calorie diets? Maybe you're one of them, where you have tried cutting out sugar, you've tried cutting out alcohol, you've tried cutting out all the foods you love, gone through specific periods where you've eaten very clean. Maybe you've even been with trainers or certain meal plans like keto, where it feels quite restrictive and you end up like eating less and less and less, and you try to follow these low-carb diets, and then your body gets to a point where you might lose some fat in the beginning, but then suddenly there's a complete halt. Like you stop losing fat, especially that last layer of belly fat. And even worse, you might feel that you've lost some muscle during that fat loss journey. This is a classical skinny fat problem, where most men make the mistake, and by the way, I don't blame you, I was the same, where I thought eating less would actually allow me to lose fat faster, would allow me to get that cut-defined beach body that we all want. But there is a problem, and there's a deeper problem with this, is when you start focusing on the mindset of eating less, you start cutting out certain foods. The problem with that is if you don't have a very strong nutrition awareness, you actually end up under eating. What happens more often than not is you become nutrient deficient. What I mean with that? Well, you start cutting out foods that actually serve your hormones and your testosterone and your metabolism, like healthy fats. If you just start cutting out all salmon and all avocados, as an example, you think you're cutting out some high fat, which is good in essence, but you're cutting out the healthy fats out of your diet. And then on the other hand, you might get very hungry some nights, so you start eating more carbs. You want some more bread, you start prioritizing some other things, maybe you fall off in a weekend where you eat pizza or burgers. And then what's happened during the week is you're not getting healthy fats and your body starts feeling cravings. You start feeling a little bit off. You start feeling low energy. This happens on low calorie diets. And then you end up making costly mistakes that instead shoot up calories and make you more inflamed and confuse your body. One of the worst things you could ever do on a diet is just keep cutting calories and keep cutting calories to very low numbers because your metabolism adapts to that and you end up cutting out necessary foods that are essential for you to build muscle. So you end up losing muscle, and that is how you end up skinny fat. So let me give you an example. I had a client called Mike, a vice president in his 40s, and he had lost, I think it was 50 to 60 pounds on his own by this method of just cutting out calories and being very extreme, and he found it very unsustainable. And what happened was he plateaued for 12 months.
After being plateaued at kind of like a certain weight for a long period of time, I was stuck at like that same weight for so long, even though I was working out every day, running every day, and it was like no changes. So it was definitely frustrating.
Guys, he was stuck for 12 months. He was running every day. I have a full interview you can check. I can link it there somewhere, like full interview where he was running every day. He was training every day. He even said it out loud that he felt like he was starving himself around his busy lifestyle. This was a dad, a very successful man, but he was starving himself and he basically got skinny fat, right? He couldn't lose fat anymore, especially the stubborn belly fat. His energy was terrible. His health was declining. His hormones were completely crashed. This is a metabolic crash that happens. And he also was losing muscle. That is not a good thing, guys. When you start following a diet or you start doing things that allow you to lose muscle, muscle is so important when it comes to really if you want a more leaner, athletic, fit physique, then you don't want to mess up with a muscle building part. So anyways, long story short, what happened was we got him into the program. We did a metabolic reset, we reset his hormones, and something magical happened. He actually started eating more. He started eating more foods he loves. We started giving like big pasta recipes, big steak recipes. He actually thought I was lying to him and we were making jokes about it. And he was eating more in the first couple of weeks. And I kid you not, he started losing belly fat, he started building muscle again, his body started responding, his energy improved. He was only in the gym like 3 times a week. We minimized his running and he was running better, like his cardio was getting better. And what was a very stubborn 12-month plateau where he was on the verge of giving up, Mike slashed 20 to 30 pounds with us and then gained 10 pounds on new lean muscle. Again, you can see the full interview. It's an amazing interview where we go over what actually changed for him. So this was a busy vice president, a father who got a lean, ripped, athletic body. I even remember his wife and kids thought he looked like a superhero when he stepped out of a shower. It was a remarkable transformation. So I want you guys to understand that if you are someone who eats out a lot at restaurants or you're struggling with nutrition and structure there, the problem is never really the food, is that you're not fueling your body right. You're probably undernourished. Your metabolism is probably way slower than it needs to be. Your testosterone is not as high. And when you're in a very long period like this, where you're not eating correctly, well, your body actually starts holding on to fat. Eat less, your body holds on to fat. Eat more, your body lets it go and it puts on muscle. And this is what happens after a metabolic reset. So instead of starving yourself like Mike did for 12 months and feeling miserable and hating life because your diet is too extreme, let me share something that helped Mike tons. And it's called food awareness. So it's very hard to navigate around nutrition and a busy, demanding lifestyle if you don't have food awareness. Some foods that you want to be wary of and to avoid is cashews, bread, olive oil, fries, pasta. Why? Because all of these foods are either very high fat or very high carb, so they have tons of calories and they don't fill you up. And not to mention, all of those options are very low in protein. On the other hand, foods they do want to go for are eggs, steak, beef, white fish, chicken, broccoli, vegetables, berries, foods that are very high volume, high in protein, and make you full. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper and I'm going to show you 3 plate examples. And this is where it gets a little bit crazy. We're going to start with number 1. So here's 2 chicken salad examples. They look completely the same, right? Now this one is 800 calories and this one is 300 calories. What do you think is the real difference? Well, the 800 calorie one has some feta cheese and some walnuts and some olive oil. And those add no volume, nothing filling to your plate, and they almost look like hidden calorie bombs, which they are. And on the other hand, the 300 calorie one is the exact same salad. You just don't have these hidden calorie bombs, and these can be the difference from you feeling that you're starving yourself or feeling very, very full. You're literally saving 500 calories that you could use on 2 glasses of white wine. So sometimes it's not even the alcohol that's the problem, it's these small costly mistakes you can't even see. Another example is these 2 taco wraps. 1,000 calorie, 500 calories. Do you see the difference? Well, I'll tell you. This one has guacamole, avocado, which is very high fat. This one has not. This one has some sriracha mayo, a very high fat calorie sauce. This one has not. This has 20% ground beef. This has 4 to 6% ground beef. Small changes, exact same meal, but completely different calories. So number 3 is going to be alcohol. So here you'll see a beer, and here you'll see a light beer. So the only difference is that one of the beers is light and the other is not. The difference is 125 calories between the 2. Pretty crazy, because even I like to drink like 5 to 6 beers sometimes on evenings when it's a prolonged period of being social. So that can really stack up quickly, so you're saving lots of calories by just going for light beer. Now, as you probably saw, this was quite interesting because the smallest things can mean the biggest difference. And nutrition it goes deep, guys. It goes deep. There's levels to this. It's something that we really go into, which is called strategic nutrition. It's one of our phases that we optimize for our clients. And it's not just about calories and protein, because calories and protein, yes, they'll help you lose fat and build muscle. But if you're someone who wants to optimize your health, you want to optimize your gut health, you want actually to have good, strong blood markers, you want high testosterone, you don't want to be walking into your 40s, 50s, and 60s with health problems, inflammation. We even have a visceral fat epidemic going on right now because there's so much inflammatory food going on in the United States and when we're eating out. So an area you want to go deeper on is to learn how your body responds to certain foods. For instance, there are foods that cause inflammation in your body, slows down your metabolism, and then on the other hand, there are foods that increase testosterone, lower insulin resistance, improve gut health, and supercharges your metabolism. But that is for another video. So this is the cool part that Mike mastered that I want you to master as well, is when you get the food awareness and you're not wasting calories anymore on cashews, olive oil, and you're making costly mistakes daily, you'll notice that you don't really need to be on a diet. It's just about making better food choices, and you'll have so much more calories to deal with every single day because it's not even about the amount of food you're eating, it's the food itself. So when you get the food awareness part in place, which was one of the things Mike did very well, is you'll notice that you're not wasting tons of calories anymore and you can eat bigger, more enjoyable meals and still lose fat. So now that you know that eating less is actually making things worse for your hormones, reason number 2 is where it gets interesting. Because this is the one that no one really talks about and it might be the main reason you're stuck. Point number 2, you don't have enough muscle. This one might come as a shocker, but one of the most important things if you want to get your body responding like it did in your 20s is to get more muscle on your body. Good news, if you're over 35, I know that you don't want to look like a bodybuilder. You want a more lean, athletic, muscular body. And the importance of muscle is to lose fat faster, is to improve your energy, is to improve your hormones, and it's the strongest predictor of longevity. If you want to live a long, prosperous, nice life, you need to start focusing on packing on muscle now. And I'm going to go over 3 ways to do that very effectively so you can maximize your time in the gym. Just so you know that after 35, you start losing muscle 3 to 5% every single decade. There's a hormonal decline you can't fight. So we need to start packing on muscle. Muscle is going to boost your metabolism. Let's get into it. Number 1 is going to be intensity. So something I see most men, and some of you might be a little bit uncomfortable with, is how intense are your workouts? You might be afraid of injuring yourself and wondering, like, how do you actually do enough in your workouts to actually build muscle? And intensity, well, it's really just about putting enough stress on your muscle. And what immediately comes to my mind and should be coming to yours is lifting heavier every single week. So you want to get stronger. So here, for instance, I'm lifting and doing a compound exercise called shoulder press. And what I want to do is every single week, when I can start doing more than 8 reps, I should start increasing the weight. You shouldn't be trying to lift 15, 20 reps. That's too easy for your muscles. When you start lifting over 12 reps, guys, the stress on your muscles changes. So you want to start adding more weight on top, and that is called progressive overload. And a very easy way to do that is my cameraman is actually tracking his workouts. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but long story short, to keep it simple for you guys, just on your notes, write down how much weight are you lifting on set 1, set 2, and set 3 on your exercises. And then you can look back at it next time in the gym. So you want to write down how much you're lifting and then the amount of reps you are doing. And then if you see that you're going above 8 reps, well then, increase your weight with around 10%. Most people are actually too lazy to track their workouts, and it's why most of them are stuck, which is why you're kind of walking in like a headless chicken, not knowing how much exercise you should be doing if you're training hard enough. But the magic happens when you start getting stronger every single week. And it doesn't matter if it's set 1, set 2, set 3, the goal is just to be able to lift 1 more rep or 10% heavier weight. If you do that week in, week out, you're going to start building muscle and start seeing real changes. So the second one is volume. We just talked about how you need to start getting stronger and lift heavier reps every single month or every single week actually. This is the same with volume, is most men will do the same exercises every single month. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing incline press week in, week out. There's nothing wrong with doing squats, but volume comes into play. So that would be basically how much attention are you giving to your biceps? How much attention are you giving to your shoulders? How much attention are you giving to your back? So if you're someone who feels that you need bigger shoulders, or you need bigger arms, or you need a bigger chest, most of you don't want to get bigger legs, well, then every single month, you should start changing the volume. You can increase or decrease the volume. So a great way to do that is I recommend you do 2 exercises per muscle group every single month. You want to kind of prioritize 2 big movements for every single muscle group, and then you want to change one of them every single month. So let me give you an example. On chest, I will always do incline chest press with dumbbells, and then I'll do some sort of chest fly movement. Now that'll be my go-to for a month. And then I'll actually change the chest flies with either flat bench press, or sometimes I'll even do push-ups. On legs, I'll like to do squats and I do leg extensions. But then every other month, I'll actually change the leg extensions with some hamstring curls or lunges, and you get the point. The idea really is to kind of create a muscle building environment where your muscles never get used to the stimulus. So just like getting stronger,
You want to change the muscle building environment. You want to shock the muscle fibers so they keep developing. And this is when you can really start having targeted training. So if you want a more V-shaped body, you want to focus more on your lats, you want to focus more on the 3D shoulders. You ever look at that movie star physique like Chris Hemsworth or Brad Pitt? Their workout plan is guaranteed changing every 30 days. The third one, guys, is going to be workout form. And this is one of the most important ones. So you want to focus on two things in your workout form. One, the squeeze, and two, the stretch. Usually there's a stretch at the bottom and there's a contraction at the top. And this is the problem. If you're someone who's just doing this, okay, I'm training now. I'm training, guys. I'm just doing lots of reps. Well, the guy who does this stretches at the bottom, focusing on the muscle, contraction at the top. What I'm doing now is I'm activating more of the muscle fibers. When you just go around like this with momentum, your calves take over, your knees, your joints are more exposed. But when you're playing around with a tempo, contracting, I'm squeezing now. I'm squeezing at the top. I'm not lifting much weight, guys. This burns like hell. It's really, really burning. And I'll apply this principle on every single exercise. And actually, when you get more advanced, you can play around with a tempo because I've learned this. I'm quite experienced. So I have a very good mind to muscle connection. But if you're someone who's a little bit more beginner or you're not quite happy with a muscle, actually focusing on developing the muscle, the mind to muscle connection will start toning up those muscle fibers a lot more quick than you think. So let's try to actually lift a little bit heavier, all right? And what we're gonna do now is, guys, it's better to lift with proper form and really focus on the muscle than ego lifting. And secondly, when you start focusing on the contractions at the top and squeezing the muscle and stretching, you also wanna focus on the tempo. So the lowering phase of a rep should be 1, 2 seconds, up, 1, 2 seconds. You actually activate more of the muscle fibers on the way down. It's called the eccentric. And you can see my face is burning, right? So workout form is very, very important. And it's one of the quickest ways to start developing weak points, which again, if you want a leaner, more athletic body, not a bodybuilder body, you don't have to lift super, super heavy. You just need the right mechanical stress on the muscle, and you can do that with this type of workout form. So I just wanted to show another example of that. That is arm training. So it's the same thing. What you want to do is you want to focus on the contraction at the top, and then 2 seconds down, squeeze at the bottom, up, 1, 2 seconds, I'm stretching the bicep, I'm contracting. And now I'm really feeling a very good connection with my biceps. And try this out, guys. You're gonna thank me later. Your muscles are gonna burn a lot differently, and you're gonna notice how much of a better pump you're gonna get out of the gym, and that is a good sign. I've trained 3 times per week, guys, for the last 8 years, and I've maintained 8% body fat during that time. I'm still able to enjoy my life and not feel like a slave to the gym, and this is the exact approach I wanna show you. When you master a few simple principles like I shared right now in your training, you can maximize the time and still see incredible results. The men I showed you earlier, Craig, Greta, Antonio, and the list goes on. We've had Travis, James, there's so many men. We're only in the gym 3 times per week, and they're loving life, and they're looking like freaking movie stars in around the 6-month period. Working out less is actually smarter for busy men because you get more time to master the nutrition aspect. You get more time to recover. And when you go in the gym, you can maximize your efforts there without burning out. Most men have it completely backwards. So if you're trying to out-train a bad lifestyle, that's like trying to put out a burning house with a bucket. It won't do anything at all. So now that you're a little bit more confident, I hope, on how to maximize your time in the gym, let's dive into reason number 3. And this is the one that really separates men who get into elite shape in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and the men that never quite make it and end up falling off. Point number 3. Your busy lifestyle is quietly wrecking your hormones. Guys, it's never just been about one thing. It's a combination of many. Your metabolism and body is a complex machine. You're dealing with testosterone. You're trying to manage insulin resistance, cortisol, the stress hormone, and all these things are just a direct mirror of your lifestyle. So if you're someone who travels a lot, or you're someone who deals with stress or long sitting hours, or just a limited time to cook, you're not consistent with your workouts, well, your body is kind of going all over the place. I've noticed this so many times with men, for instance, who travel and eat out at client dinners, or they end up ordering takeaway or convenient food choices, and their protein is very low, their calories are very high, they have a lot of inflammatory fats from their diet and the food, then they have lots of stress that is affecting their sleep, and then they have very limited gym time where when they do go to the gym, they're not spending their time in the most effective manner. And this is just a very classical hormonal decline that happens to a man when he enters his 30s. You're not 20 years anymore. You don't have all the time in the world. You're dealing with
lots of responsibilities, so you need to maximize your time and effort that you put in the gym, that you put in your diet. You need structure. You need habits in your life that create some sort of routine and consistency so you don't fall off. Because you need to start looking at your fitness as more of a lifestyle than rather some chore or some checklist or just ticking off boxes. So the mindset I've seen is so many of you are very interested in peptides, or you might be interested in TRT. And why wouldn't you? You know, it's awesome if you can have TRT or some sort of supplement that can increase your testosterone, make you recover quicker, build muscle, lose inflammation, and lose the belly fat. But the reality is these things create a hormonal response in your body. But they also have downsides, and they can be quite expensive. What I teach inside my coaching is to create those same exact hormonal responses by natural ways. That could be through your diet. Do you know that if you have a diet that's 150 grams of protein, your metabolism is going to be stronger? If you can minimize the unhealthy fats that comes from fried foods, that could be fries, fried fish, it could be canola oil, and you can minimize that under 25 grams a day, your inflammation is going to go down. Your testosterone is going to go up. And most of you want to lose that belly fat, right? So if you feel that you're not losing belly fat, that last layer has been stuck for months, I want to ask you, are you hitting your 10K steps a day? Are you doing intermittent fasting? Do you stop eating at around 8 p.m.? So the mindset really is you guys should stop looking outwards for solutions and just start looking inwards. Start looking at your lifestyle. Do a lifestyle audit, as I like to say. It's something we do with our clients immediately within the first 7 days is we address, okay, where are you struggling? And you can do that right now with me. Is it your sleep? Are you getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep? And are you going to bed before 12 p.m.? Sleep is massive for testosterone and your metabolism. Another huge thing to do an audit on is alcohol. Because how many times are you guys drinking? Is it 1 to 2 glasses of wine every day? Is it a couple of times a week? Or is it just in the weekends? Because alcohol can literally decrease your testosterone and metabolism for up to 72 hours. It also has a very bad effect on your gut lining, so it can create bloating. And the reality is, alcohol rules that I have for you is for every glass of wine, you should have 1 glass of water. You can also have something like sea salt and lime in a glass of water before you go to bed. But the most important one is just minimizing it, cutting it out 2 glasses if this is a consistent thing. One bad weekend won't ruin everything, but alcohol is another huge one. And the final one that I notice a lot of you men struggle with because of how busy you are is just consistency and execution. How consistent are you with your diet? And how well are you executing on things like making good food choices for healthy fats, high protein, good quality carbs? And how effective and consistent are you when you go in the gym? What exercise are you doing? Are you getting stronger? Is your workout plan evolving over time so you can actually start building a more leaner, athletic, V-shaped body? If you're just doing the same amount of reps, same amount of exercise for months and expecting a different result, well, I don't care how busy you are, that workout plan won't work for anyone. It's super important if you have a busy, high-performing life to maximize your time in the gym, to maximize how you're going around nutrition and your workouts. All right, so now that you know the importance of you needing more muscle, not eating too little, and that your lifestyle might be quietly wrecking your hormones, your job is to create synergy between how you eat to how you train to your lifestyle. When you can create a balance between all these 3 phases, you're gonna notice that your body starts responding again. You're gonna notice that you don't need to be 2 hours in the gym just to burn some extra calories. You'll notice that you don't need to cut out all the foods you love, and you don't have to be the weird one at the dinner table at restaurants because you can't eat the foods you love. And you're gonna notice that you're gonna manage your travels better, your vacations, your stress, your sleep, your limited time, because you'll know exactly what habits you need to stay consistent and still make fitness enjoyable. And this is exactly why I do a metabolic reset first with our clients. Your metabolism has changed. You're not 20 years anymore. So if you feel that your body has stopped responding, no matter how hard you train in that gym, no matter how much cardio you do, or how much food you cut out, or how clean your diet is, your body still refuses to change. You just can't lose that irritating last layer of belly fat, or you can't pack on the muscle that you really want. You feel there's more potential there, but you're stuck. Then these are all signs of a metabolic crash. It's the biggest pattern I've seen with clients we talk to and clients who are on board. We've had men, heck, in their 50s and 60s who thought that their time has gone. You know, their energy is not there, they feel older than they like, and then boom, we reset their metabolism and their body starts developing really damn quick. This is not just about muscle building. It's not just about fat loss. It's about your longevity, your health, all the things I talked about, your gut health, your blood markers, all will naturally improve. It's the same hormonal responses men are chasing for TRT, men are chasing with peptides. So once you can flip the switch, guys, you're setting the stage for the rest of your life. This is how we get busy business owners and executives and lawyers steps to achieve lean, athletic, muscular bodies in 3 to 6 months. So if you've been feeling some of these symptoms and you're serious about getting into the best shape of your life, both physically and mentally, then you can book a free metabolic assessment call with my head coach or myself, and we'll have a good chat about where you are right now and where you want to get to in terms of a fitness transformation you're looking for. We'll assess your current struggles, we'll look at your lifestyle, and we'll create a very clear roadmap on exactly what has to happen to get you there in 3 to 6 months. There's a link in the description below where you can share a little bit more about your situation. You can book a call that suits you best, and I'm looking very much forward to getting you into the best shape of your life.